So another one of these really popular or in vogue terms these days is imposter syndrome. I see it all the time on social media, used a lot and in videos, and I hear about it a lot at events. And usually when people are using that term, they're referring to for themselves or somebody they know about how they're new in an organization or at a job and they have to establish themselves. And until they establish their value or their credibility, they kind of feel like an imposter. And I get where that comes from, right? But to me, that's somewhat valid, okay? Because you need to go in and establish your worth and your value and your knowledge and build credibility, and it all will be good. It'll be good in here and in your head and with everybody you work with. But to me, the real imposter syndrome that I think is a real problem and a big problem is when people are in a job where they have to pretend to be somebody they're not. Even just a little bit. To me, that's real imposter syndrome. When you're in a job, and I've been there, by the way, I did this. So I'm not preaching outward only. I'm saying I've done this. And you're in a job and you're faking it. You're playing a role. You're pretending to be somebody and you're doing stuff that doesn't even align with who you are. Could there be anything worse professionally than doing that? That's number one, it's a crap feeling because people might, this is what I did. I cruised and coasted through that, kidded myself. I wasn't truthful with myself. I played a part, not in all 4 or 5 of my big jobs, but that I had, my main jobs, but in parts or in times I did that. I played a role and I pretended to be somebody I'm not. I pretended to be that guy who wanted to climb the corporate ladder, and that's really not what I ever wanted. I got into that a few times, and when I'd be around leaders and higher-ups and executives, I played that part. I'm thinking, I won't get into them here, but I can remember stories and situations right in my head right now where I did that. And a lot of people do this. And I was pretending to be something I'm not. And to me, that's imposter syndrome. That's crap. That's a dark, empty, hollow feeling. Like, what? I get where it comes from since I did it. I understand it too, but we got to change that. If you're in that situation, ask yourself this question. Are you finding yourself in your job, with your employer, in your business, whatever it is you're doing, that you have to pretend to be something you're not or someone you're not through your behavior? It's one thing once in a while to do something you don't like. That's not what I'm talking about. You get on a project and somebody said, you have a responsibility to deliver or play a part or a role on a team and you're not loving it. You may not even believe in it a whole heck of a lot, but it needs to be done and you suck it up and you do it. I'm talking more about those situations where, your organization, its mission at that particular time is made up of stuff that you don't believe in, and you're contributing and you're playing a role and you're ignoring the stuff that you don't believe in, and you're also acting in a way, these are just some examples, so that you'll be accepted and liked by your superiors, by your team, by people around you. And you're literally playing a role and pretending to be something you're not. Or it could be something more micro, like you're not a great communicator, you don't love getting in front of groups, but you know what, I'm going to do this. It's one thing to push yourself out of your comfort zone. That's positive. But when you try to play a role of somebody you're not and be that team leader that you're just not right now, or to be that spokesperson that you're just not right now so that you look good, do it for the right intentions. Do it because you're like, hey, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. I want to learn. I want to get better. But when you're doing it just to impress or to fit in, not good. All right, we got to cut that out. That to me, that's real imposter syndrome. That's the imposter syndrome that I think is so hurtful and detrimental to our career. All right, so think about this. Just ask yourself that question: is my job, is my role, having me, forcing me, leading me to pretend to be somebody I'm not? And if it is, you need to change that. You need to change that as soon as possible. All right. And I changed it. I had that journey. I changed already. I got out of a situation in an environment where I had to pretend quite a bit. And nobody was holding a gun to my head. I did it. And that's the thing. We're accountable for this stuff. It's our choice. Nobody, I don't care if you have the worst boss, the worst management team, the worst team period. We're choosing to do this stuff on our own. And if you're doing that right now, even a little bit, here's what I'll say. You got to take action and change it, but look at it this way. Do you want to go through life or a few years down the road or much later down the road even and regret where you are or what you did? Because if you're going to end up in a place of regret, you're doomed. That regret, I always say this, is the worst situation and feeling that you can deliberately put yourself into, because we control. Our actions and behavior are in our control. It's in your control. You don't have to do things that you're going to later regret. So take ownership of the situation and stop pretending and figure out through action and vision, action steps to get the change in motion and a vision of where you want to go. Get that in motion and get out of the situation where you're pretending, all right? And if you want help, let me know. This is what I do. I've done this not I pretended, I got out of that situation, and I create a life where I'm right in my wheelhouse of what I want to do. I am allowed, not allowed permission-wise from somebody else. I created a role and a place for me in this world and a path where I'm allowed every single day to be who I want to be, to align with who I am. And you can have that same path. If you want help, let me know. But do it on your own too. Just change it if you're pretending. All right?